Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Fola Shade Adeyemo. You can call me Fola. And this is welcome to the Data Mind Mindset. This is first of many of our podcast episodes on AI, you and your career. A brief introduction of DataMind-Mindset. We are basically the gateway to data excellence. Here we dedicate ourselves to empowering data professionals and enthusiasts on their data journey. So we provide services like online courses, boot camps, webinars, videos, coaching sessions, technical training. So as much as need to grow in the data field in becoming a data professional, we provide. I'm going to just jump right into it. We're going to be introducing our expert. He is the convener of the Data Mind Mindset. His name is Olamide Jolaosho, but you can also call him, everybody calls him Lamo. So you're going to be hearing me saying Lamo a lot. Hi Lamo, good evening. How are you doing?
Hi, Fola. Happy Easter Monday. And hello to everyone joining us from wherever you're joining. It's a global world these days. So people could be joining us from Australia for all you know now.
Actually, yeah. So welcome. Before we go on, I'd just like to say that if you have any questions, please feel free as we're going to put them in the Q&A box so that we don't miss them. Lamo, I'm just going to jump right into it. The question that is on everybody's minds, right? We're not going to do any preamble. Will AI replace our jobs entirely or not? First question.
Why did you have to start with that one, Fola? Let's even be sure. Are these real people having this podcast or is this AI? How do we know? Do we need to pinch ourselves and say, okay, right, having expressions, or let's check our fingers and be sure that it's five and it's not doctored and our eyes are not like split in the middle to show that we have like four eyes like
Exactly.
that. Because for all you know, it could be AI doing this podcast. But back
Precisely.
to your question, will AI take our jobs? So honestly, I do think AI will take some jobs, but then not all jobs will be taken by AI.
Okay.
All right. I think one of the best responses I got to this was from a professor of change management, actually, that I listened to sometime last year. And she took us through the industrial revolution, how the world changed, machines came. Just think about it. Not a couple of years back, anyway, for some of us that have been around in the 80s. I used to tell my kids about the fact of there was a world without computers. And whenever I tell them that, their face just light up. You mean there was a world without computers? Yes. And I still remember the time where learning how to type was a thing. I also remember the time where, you put in your CV proficiency in Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Nobody does that anymore. It's a given that you need to know it anyway because it's part of the job. Meaning that the jobs of those that could type, of those
Mm,
that knew Microsoft Word and everything as a proficiency, a lot of that has actually, they've actually gone away today, right now. But what do
mm,
we have? We have new jobs, all right? You have things like social media marketer. You have
mm,
jobs like content creator.
yeah.
Even the AI jobs we speak of today, a machine learning engineer didn't exist 5 years ago. Let's not even go that far. All right. I
Absolutely.
have one very interesting one. AI ethicist.
Mm,
Trust me, even me, I don't even know what that career is all about. But these are roles that are springing up. Okay, but I'm not going to evade your question. I'm going to go back to your question. Will it take jobs? All right. I strongly believe that some jobs would fall into the automation that AI would bring. All right. For instance, now, back in the day, our dads and our parents used to have secretaries. All right, that would take minutes of meetings for them, write a lot of notes. As we are having this call now, Bola, AI is transcribing every single thing that we're doing. AI is going to summarize this meeting for us at the end of the day, meaning that particular role of somebody that is transcribing doesn't exist or will actually fall away after some time. But then it will create new jobs. All right. For instance, now I've spoken about a lot of new careers that have come up. I strongly believe that we are really not ready for the kind of roles that AI is going to bring, because it's going to be a lot, meaning it's going to help you. And I don't want to get ahead of myself because I have a feeling I'm going to have more questions along this line. It's going to give us roles that would spring up, that would, for instance, in the world of content creation, for example, I was just yesterday, I was trying to post an Easter message and I was chatting AI to create a flyer for me for Easter. I told, okay, don't give me, I didn't want Easter eggs in my flyer. I said, okay, put a cross there. I told you what to say and it gave me minutes. All right. So meaning that somebody that can use AI for some of these specific tasks are the roles or the jobs that would come. So some of the jobs, for instance, now the flyer I told you about Easter for yesterday, for instance, you would have required me to send to somebody that would probably use Canva, all right, and then do a design and then send it to me. But I did that in natural language, all right. So and not to say that the likes of Canva are going out of fashion, because those that use it might also end up using AI to actually do things better and quicker. So I feel it's going to redefine a lot of our jobs. Will some roles go? Honest truth is, for me, my own POV, yes, it will. But then a lot more will spring up. A lot more will spring up. And we just need to be AI ready for that.
So listen to my next question, right? What industries do you believe will be mostly disrupted from AI? How do we get ourselves ready? What industries, and which industries do you also think are relatively safer for now?
Okay. Let's even start with the AI everybody's used to today now, chatbots. All right. Even when you mention AI to anyone today, the first thing that comes to their mind is ChatGPT or a Google Gemini or a Copilot chatbots. And then for chatbots, which are offshoots of natural language processing or natural language generation, for those who like the technical bits of things, we've seen that transform customer service already. All right. If you go to finance, and then that's another industry now, finance, all right, banks, fintechs, and those that do things around trading. We've seen a lot of the stock market now use algorithms to trade. We've seen it in fraud detection, even in healthcare. There are drug discoveries, there are diagnostics in manufacturing. I saw something crazy. This was also last year, where I think it was an assembly plant in China, where somebody was sitting and they were making coffee for him and they were assembling his car while he waited. It was an espresso, meaning the time it was needed to make a shot of espresso, they had assembled his car. So even in the manufacturing, we've seen AI transform, and then yes, we're seeing it in self-driving cars. Self-driving cars are not the future anymore. They are here now. We might not have it so prevalent in Africa now, but we see it abroad. So AI has rapidly transformed those industries already. So if you talk about safe for now, really, okay, sectors that rely more on the human touch, because I like to always say that for me, the word AI is artificial intelligence. Intelligence is synonymous with human beings. I need to probably stop and say that again. Intelligence is synonymous with human beings. Even the knowledge that your ChatGPT is trained on, all right, was generated by humans, meaning that the books that it has learned from, the content on the internet, the data came from human brains. Okay, so already industries that still have the human touch, all right, that have creativity or maybe something complex, right? For instance, now mental health and therapy. Okay, you could say those are going to be relatively safe, although you never can tell with the spirit of innovation that we see in AI. All right, then also education, early childhood now, early childhood. Okay, I have a penchant for kids. All right. So in my pastime, I also do things that sees me nurture kids. There's that human touch for children in their early years that no form of education or AI can take place. You need to make that connection and I'm talking about 2, 3, 4 year olds, all right, who are literally babies, all right. I'm not, and by the time you need to make that human connection with them, I think those industries really, anything that really speaks to empathy, all right, that speaks to empathy, creativity, and well, I could say art, but again, I heard of something crazy around art as well, because you have paintings that are even being restored, creativity for now. Okay, so I'm putting that caveat for now because you never know what tomorrow will hold with AI.
This funny thing is, I had one of the questions for later, but I think I'm going to ask it now. So you mentioned human creativity and the essence of empathy and how that must be preserved even through, generations. So for right now, what does or what's the role of human creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence? What roles do they play in a future that is going to be dominated by AI? And are we saying that these skills are becoming more, yes, empathy must be preserved, but if AI can give me a full novel, right? If you can write out an entire script for me just by some prompts, are these skills going to be any have any value in the future? Is human creativity, is it going to be valuable still in a future designated by AI?
That's a very, very tricky question, I'll say, Fola. And as we're just saying it, I think the best way I can answer that really is I'll go a bit personal now. When I write prompts, all right, whether the ChatGPT or Gemini or whether it's a co-pilot, I realize that the kind of output that I do want that suits what I need it for at the end of the day is the output that has my own take and own spin on it. All right. I've seen that my own creativity, my own critical thinking, my own ability to reason ends up giving me the kind of output that is sort of like polished and fine-tuned by AI. All right. Um, More often than not, I've come across people that just want AI to do everything. All right. We tend to be lazy like that as human beings. All right. Just want to probably put a one-liner and then you want AI to give it. It doesn't work that way. All right. You might get something, but the level of finesse, the level of dexterity, that kind of output that would resonate with the kind of results you are looking for only comes when you apply your own critical thinking and creativity to it. That's the best way I think I'll probably answer that, because I don't believe that we should separate ourselves away from the intelligence that we put into AI tools. All right. I think that we need to, I think it should actually even sort of like help accelerate even your ability to think critically. Meaning, for instance, now imagine if you ask AI, how do I probably ask 5 critical thinking questions? And then you reflect on those questions. All right. So what I was saying earlier was that you really can't dissociate yourself from what AI brings. And like I was saying previously, to answer from a personal note, some of the things I've ended up creating with AI in terms of whether it's a strategy or a content or a direction have been good because I've added a piece of myself to it. Meaning I've thought about what I wanted to do and use AI to refine or fine tune that. Okay, so really we can't separate our ability to think critically because we're using AI tools. So really, it has to be us still having that hunger to think critically about things. We can't switch off our own intelligence because we have something that helps us. But they should help us probably learn faster, learn quicker, get better, and have an accelerated progress to what we're trying to. That for me is it's what we need to strive for.
Okay. So moving swiftly into the next question. So how can we future proof ourselves? How can we even get ready for this AI driven economy or a future that is dominated by AI, and professionally speaking?
Very, very interesting. I think for one, listen to this podcast. And it just stems from the point of learn. All right. Learning in the last, let me not even use 10 years, learning in the last 5 years has sort of like transformed. All right. So the question is, how are you learning? What are the tools that you're using to learn? Are you still stuck in maybe the way we used to learn in the past? You get audio, there are audio books today, there are summaries. It's easier for you to learn any and everything. For instance, people will tell you that YouTube is a university. You can learn any and everything there. Okay. So, and that speaks to adaptability. Okay. To future proof yourself, first and foremost, you need to be adaptable. You need to really ask yourself really pertinent questions. The job that I'm doing today, all right, is this still going to be relevant in the next 6 months or in the next 1 year? Or will AI come and transform this job and make it faster? All right, because the whole idea is if I'm a CEO of a company, all right, and I have, let's say, 100 employees, and I have 10 employees spending, let's say, maybe 10 hours on a particular task, and someone comes to me that, sir, this particular task can be done by AI in 1 hour. Now, tell me, Fola, what decision do I make as a CEO? I
Look
can
at
see you smiling. You
yeah.
said?
Obviously, you go for one that is faster. I'll take less
Exactly.
time.
And what does that mean? Meaning that you will probably need to render a couple of people redundant. It's not what we like to hear, but then if you know, for CEOs, they live and die by their decisions. It's really about the decisions that you make. And when you get to the corporate world, it's really about profitability and numbers. So these are hard decisions that will be made by people in that particular room when we are not there. But we need to stay ready before those kind of decisions are actually made. Meaning that you need to future proof your own career. You need to start to be adaptable, continuously learn, expand, ask yourself, what else can I do better in this particular role? For some of you, it might be that you need to pivot. It might be that you need to really also look at your soft skills, because things around communication, empathy, collaboration, you really can't teach those kind of skills. So that means that executives are going to be looking for who are the guys that can collaborate better, work together in a team, get the job done, motivate people, inspire people. These are things that I don't know about any AI, except yes, if you build a robot and it talks like a human being, yes, maybe you can try and inspire, but then these are things that human beings are still going to have their bread and butter from. So really, to summarize that, you really need to stay adaptable. Continuous learning is non-negotiable. Master your soft skills, empathy, communication, collaboration, and then digital fluency. You need to understand how AI works. You need to understand how AI works. It was so crazy for me. I think it was some early last year. I was in a particular session. I asked the question, how many of you people have heard about ChatGPT? And I was surprised. People were in the room that hadn't heard about ChatGPT. Yes, yes, they exist. All right. So, but then I think the key word this year was agentic AI. The trends are always changing. You need to stay up to date. You need to follow. You know, in Nigeria, we say follow the person with no road. You need to follow people who are speaking about it, follow conversations, and stay informed. And also, you need to also have a hybrid profile, meaning that you need to have your domain expertise. If you're a doctor, be the best at it, but combine tech with it. If you're a nutritionist, be the best at it, but also combine tech and AI with it. If you are an educator, that's exactly what you also need to do.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so as you were speaking, took me back to when you talked about, you briefly mentioned education and how empathy plays a role in education, right? But now I also want to ask, um, how should the education systems that we have presently, how can they, you also spoke about adaptability, how can they adapt so that they can prepare because the students now are going to be the future leaders of tomorrow, right? So how can these education systems adapt to these times so that they can prepare these students for the future? And if you could also
That's going
talk
to speak to,
about,
yeah.
if you could also bring it home, because there's the developed and there are underdeveloped systems right now. So if you could also touch on the differences in that
Okay.
also.
Well, I think a lot of it is even going to start from the policy side of things. Okay. Um Curriculum. What are we still teaching our curriculum today? All right. There has to be some form of AI literacy in our curriculum. I do know quite a number of uh, business and AI leaders in Nigeria are doing quite a lot in driving AI education across. I won't mention some of the organizations here, but I'm quite aware. I've seen initiatives where they are taking AI to the nooks and crannies of the country and they are educating people. But those are by those are private organizations. All right, we need to bring government on board here, meaning it has to be part of our curriculum. Children in schools, whether it's in primary school or secondary school or university, they need to learn about it. It's gotten to that point. Again, cast your mind back. Remember when computers were a thing? It wasn't in
Yeah.
our curriculum before they started adding it to what we were learning. Okay, and then there was a bit of coding that a couple of people learned, Windows, but we've gone to come to that point now that people and children from the ground up need to learn about it in their curriculum. All right, so
Yeah.
it has to start from the policy side of things, meaning that if we have people in government that are listening, we need that kind of representation in government to ensure that AI education is across our curriculum. Then again, in terms of those who are in schools themselves, they need to start to like adopt AI in their delivery.
Hmm.
Okay, we've gone away from tech to AI now. All right, we are having this conversation. All right, I know both of us are in Lagos, but we're at two different ends of Lagos, and we're having a podcast. That is the power of technology. Okay, you shouldn't be a school today and there's nothing online learning. Okay, I have two kids, and I'll see them. They go on their laptops and they're doing assignments, uploading. So if it's 2025 and you're a school and you've not started adopting tech in delivering, I'm not saying it should be total, then that means you are far back. But now that's tech. How do we leverage AI to help people learn better? The best example that comes to mind was somebody that combined AI and learning was when just picture biology, picture maybe the human heart, and picture a hologram, and then you are in real time seeing. You imagine a 3D image of the heart. I can still remember the left ventricle, the right ventricle. I never liked biology, but imagine maybe I would have liked biology better if AI allowed me to see everything. Those are that those are possibilities in our world today, meaning that learning can be, I don't know, maybe because me, I finished university, done two master's degrees, and I'm not really particular about going. But then imagine a 14, 15-year-old learning about science, all right, having AI simulate some things for him in the classroom, not just somebody bringing yes, we don't use chalk anymore anyway, not somebody just sketching something on the board. We need to use these tools to now educate our people. That's the way the interest can come in. Yes, I know it's going to take a lot of investment, maybe on the part of the schools, but then there are ways that these things can start small.
Wonderful. And I think I love that you also brought it home, help us see that, yes, because developed countries, I mean, in some Asian countries, some of the children from very little have access to these things. But back here, even adults still have no idea what these things are. So even thinking about, still talking about the differences between developed and underdeveloped countries. We've spoken about education, bringing it back into careers now. How is AI influencing career opportunities in an underdeveloped country compared to a developed country or a
Hmm.
developed country?
Okay. Second, I think careers would always continuously evolve. Um, in developed countries today now, you would have biometric scans and all sorts of things. So the I'm trying to look for very, very practical examples. Okay, trying to look for maybe an example that I have seen before. I know what we're used to is maybe the thumbprint and everything. Okay, let me use movies, or at least we've seen them in a lot of movies where um, there's this aspect of AI that they call computer vision, meaning where you're able to from, and we see it when we use our biometrics on our phone, when you use your facial recognition or identity to unlock your phone, or your thumbprint to authorize a transaction and everything. Okay, if you go abroad now, they use that widespread in crime prevention, really. So meaning that those in the police force abroad, or in their security force abroad, already use AI to sort of like fight crime. Okay, it's difficult for you to go somewhere abroad now and then you would end up, let's say you commit a crime. There are cameras all around. All they'll probably need to do is go and review the footage. Even if they don't have the footage, let's say from the store, you will see, and I'm using movies now to augment this example. There are cameras all over, maybe at traffic stops and the likes. They pick your face, they run it through their database, okay, and they use that to match somebody in the system, and they fish you out. Okay, going by record. I know that data, AI relies heavily on data, meaning that they have your data somewhere and they fish it out. So mean the guys in the if you're in America, the FBI, the CIA, if you're in the UK, the MI6, the police, meaning those in those careers now would be using AI in some form. If you bring it back home now, Lagos, not Third Mainland Bridge. I was driving on Third Mainland Bridge a couple of days ago, and I actually saw those cameras. I'm like, wow. And I just realized that cars went speeding. Like, hey, okay, people don't want to speed because everybody's running away from a fine. It's coming home gradually, really, okay? Because now, for the government now, and that's not really complex AI as it is, but what's going to happen is that if I go into the technology around that, the camera would, they are called speed cameras, all right? It's akin to motion sensitivity, meaning it's going to track maybe those based on the speed. It's going to, there's a way it's going to pick your speed if you go beyond a particular limit. And all it's going to do, the camera is going to pick your license plate, match it with the record in their database. And then once they find your name, they send you, they don't even come knocking. They send you a text message or they send you an email and send you a bill. I know the way Lagos State has done it in such a way that they don't even need to run after you. They will wait for you to your next registration. So if you haven't paid that fine, by the time you're renewing your vehicle license, your driver's license, that fine will be waiting for you. So imagine the jobs that have been created there now. All right. You know, this is even linking to your first question. You know, before it's last month that would pick you, or your road safety that would pick you. Think about it. Meaning the work of road safety is going to be redefined. All right. Meaning I recall then, because my dad was one of the very first special marshals in the Federal Road Safety Commission when they started in the 80s. And I recall we'll be traveling outside of Lagos and he would wear this fluorescent armbands and then dip his hand out of the window and then be telling cars to slow down if they're overspeeding. We don't need that anymore today because you have your speed cameras capturing those who are speeding and then appropriating the necessary punishment and penalties and also getting the necessary coverage for the government. So if you look at it in transportation sector alone, it's changed. Here, if you want to even talk about it, you know, Nigeria, we're big on content creation. Very soon, I'm sure we're going to start seeing people creating movies fully from AI and all of that. All right. But it's going to, the opportunities are so huge, really, because there's no industry is not going to touch. Imagine if I was a chef, for instance, and I'm cooking and I have an AI assistant telling me or reminding me the recipe or maybe something. I'm thinking wildly now. It's possible to also maybe, I've seen tools today that if you snap maybe your meal, just tell you how many calories you have there. Yeah, I've seen that. All right. You snap a particular, let's say you've made a sumptuous dinner or lunch for yourself. You use an AI tool. It tells you how many calories you have there. How? All right. So these are things that are going to keep on changing our world, because let's not think that because we're third world, all right, or we're developing. Well, we are getting there gradually. We are getting there. All right. Because You asked me a question earlier around those who are the industries that are safe. When I talked about customer service and finance, in Nigeria, for example, we have a lot of banks and fintechs that are doing quite a lot. A lot of these banks and fintechs rely heavily on even chatbots. AI is gradually pervading a lot of these industries. Okay, and it's just going to grow more and more and more. Okay, but to put it simply, let's not think third world too much. All right, who knows? Maybe this is the change that is going to rapidly catapult us from third to second, and then hopefully to a first. If Singapore could do it with just something little, why not? Why not?
And it seems like we're catching up fast. You mentioned
Yeah.
movies, and there's currently a movie in the cinema. It's called Make Nation. I think that it was made with, I mean, assisted by AI, but it's actually the
Oh,
first AI movie in Nigeria. I don't
I
know
hope
what
it's
it
good.
looks like. I hope so too. Well, yes, I mean, very insightful. A lot of things that you said really. I also like that you hammered on some things that you have said before. AI will redefine a lot of jobs. Some jobs might be redundant, might become
Yeah.
redundant, but it will do a job of redefinition more than replacement. I think I really enjoyed that. My next question, or maybe moving towards my last question, will be we've talked about redefinition, and by that, I would say that even we've also talked about creating new jobs. Um, Maybe we should hammer on how AI enhances jobs right now. I know that you work in the finance sector. If you could give us practical examples of how maybe in the finance sector, AI has been used to enhance their workforce and not necessarily replace them.
Hmm. Okay. There are quite a number of examples anyway. But let me pick one that will probably resonate with a lot of people. Okay. Microsoft Excel. All right. This is the data mind mindset. We do all things data, help career professionals. And I think just last year we had a couple of trainings on Excel. Yeah, where you teach people the functions and all sorts of tools that they can use within Excel to do their job. So what I've seen really is, um, and I'll use the example of you could either use the ChatGPT example or the Copilot, and the ChatGPT example would mean the paid version. All right, today you can take your Excel sheet, put it in a paid version of ChatGPT, and ask ChatGPT to run the analysis for you.
Hmm.
Yeah, without having, yes, or you could even ask ChatGPT to tell me the kind of analysis I should run. It will tell you the kind of analysis you would run. It will tell you how you should run it, and then it can also run it for you. Okay. But if you go back to, but I don't advise on that, because if you are, that means you'll end up putting your own company proprietary data into ChatGPT, which is like a third party. But if you use, and I'm not, it's not an advert for anybody. Now, if you use a tool like Copilot embedded into Excel, for example, which might be within your regular enterprise, it can do the same thing, meaning that teams that run projections, run analysis, and it goes even beyond Excel. All right. If you take business intelligence dashboards today now, a lot of organizations are running simulations, they are analyzing data. AI is giving them insights from that particular data. They are seeing forecasts, they are seeing trends, they are seeing patterns in their data that they never really saw, and it's helping them to make business decisions on whether to probably sell this to this particular customer, or whether to even proactively engage a customer on his needs before the customer even needs it. Okay. And these are real life examples that I have seen in here in Nigeria. I've just glossed over it really, because if I could spend an hours talking about different use cases where AI has transformed that particular landscape. And to me, it starts from the simple to the complex. Okay, as far back as even before AI even became as synonymous to this, I know a lot of finance companies in Nigeria already using machine learning to run predictions, predicting customers that will churn, preventing fraud. So it's just continued to grow, really. Okay. And the applications will just simply get easier, meaning
Mm.
that the need for us to create complex solutions would continue to wane, and it will focus on those that can apply those solutions on their day to day. Those are the guys that will end up winning. Okay. Yes, you're going to have the guys that will build the complex tools, but for those who are doing their daily jobs, let's say you're in customer service, let's say they're in compliance, let's say you're even in marketing, in brands, in communication. How do you apply these AI tools in your job? That is, for me, is going to be the differentiating factor going forward, not just for the financial services industry, all sectors. Oh, really? You're a doctor today, really? How is AI going to help you proactively know when to ask your customer for a checkup? All right. Let's say you have things around consent resolved, okay, and you have the customer's data, let's say in an AI model, and your model is telling you that, oh, it's time for you to maybe check on this particular customer, because historically the customer seems to probably skip using his drugs or something. Think about that. That is already going to redefine even someone that is a medical doctor. All right. Apart from just saying, okay, I've just checked your blood pressure, checked it, and you're gone. No, things are it's going to change much more, because you do agree with me that if I use the medical profession example, people still like the human feel. Trust me, I don't want to have a machine to be checking my pulse or checking my, no, 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 no. Then how do you now marry what AI is with your own role? That's a big question everybody needs to answer.
Okay. Insightful session. I've enjoyed myself so far. I have one more question. This is a bit of a thinker, right? I don't know how long it will take you to come up with a response, but I hope it's
Okay,
it's
I'll
okay.
try.
So, moving past just its influence in on careers, that's in the office working.
Yeah.
Let's talk about even getting a job and just
Mm,
closing the gap of income equality. How can or sorry, what are the implications rather of AI on income inequality? That's closing that gap, and
mm,
also even access to high quality jobs. How can AI um, bring people closer to getting jobs that can actually, get them higher in their on the career ladder or just professionally?
mm. Okay. So I think the software programmers are not going to like me now. Those that write code, because I'm going to cast them a bit now, because that's the only example I can find to answer your question. So if I'm a programmer, right, and I write computer code today now, okay, and personally I have a background in computer science, way back. It's still way back sometimes to think. Oh, all right. So I've seen when you write code from the lowest level, but the
Hmm.
reality is that very few people write code on that low level anymore. Why? Because of AI. Okay. So a lot of the guys today use AI to sort of like elevate their own roles as software developers and programmers, even if you are doing machine learning and the likes. Okay. So in a bid to get better, I feel that those who are able, and what the guys typically do today is, if you have a paid subscription to any of these AI tools and you connect it to maybe the programming language that you are used to, whether it's the C sharp, JavaScript, Python, or the likes. Okay. I even had an experience last year where I was coaching someone, and she was using Python to probably solve a particular problem. She was stuck somewhere. I don't write code on a day to day, but I've tried my hands to it. And because I was the coach, I was trying to help her figure it out. And then I had my AI embedded I asked for the script of what she was working on. It was in Python. I put it on the integrated development environment IDE that I was using, and I had my AI connected to it. And my AI, once I ran the code and it had an error, it picked the line of the error. It told me what the error was about. It told me what to try to fix the error. Okay, I tried it, didn't work, went back, corrected it. In a space of minutes, I fixed the problem, and she was live on the call while I was doing it. It was in real time. In a few minutes, yeah, I found the problem and we fixed it, and she was okay. And I told her what to do, and we're done. That was me. I'm not a software developer. All right. So imagine those who would use AI to elevate what they can do as software developer. Imagine they could end up doing the job of maybe 3 or 4 people. I'm not saying they should have multiple jobs, but then the capacity of their impact is going to grow. I was talking with a software developer in our church here in Lagos a couple of weeks back, and was telling me that a logo that takes maybe the person that creates a couple of weeks to do, AI created fantastic impressions of it. Something they would have to wait for took AI minutes, meaning that it helped their job to move quicker, meaning that people can start entire companies from their bedrooms, okay, and not having to hire maybe 4 or 5 staff and do the work using AI. But then it's not just, it's going to take a lot of immersion, a lot of upskilling, a lot of understanding, a lot of, okay, how do I use AI to do this? Remember, I talked about even the paid version. So meaning that you would even need to make an investment, all right? Meaning you're going to use it to elevate your own work. Time won't permit me to speak about even what I have used AI for in my own line of work to even do quite a lot in a short time. So you can imagine those who would go from junior to senior developers. All right. The only thing is that AI will help you manage people. That's another one. You know, you asked the question in the beginning where we talk about empathy and communication. But from somebody that is, let's say somebody that is just maybe starts out as a frontline staff in a branch. I'm using financial service and just a customer service agent, which might not take any dexterity or skill, meaning that person can say, okay, I'm going to give myself 2 years to transition from this role to a tech role or an AI role, learning all that I need to do, amassing all these skills, using AI to learn. You know, you asked a question about education the last time. Using AI to learn, absorb, and then using it to fine tune and tell my story out there. So that when I get into an interview, I'm talking out of knowledge, I'm talking out of experience, meaning the things that you've created will speak for itself. All right. You won't need to give excuses. Okay, can you do this? Oh, yes, that will take me. You would even amaze those who interview you. You can do it in just say minutes, something that will take maybe a team of people to do. And there's no organization that would see that kind of talent. They will pay premium. Either they pay you as an employee or pay you as a consultant, depending on which one you want to come to the fore. So I feel it's just going to be it's opportunity for Lashade, honestly. It's really going to be opportunity staring people in the face. And it's already happening. All right. I might not say some things. I know people that are already even making a killing out of using AI to enhance their work today and separating themselves from what they can do, all right, naturally, and then to the power of like times 10.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Um, so many things. You said so many things that are etched in my brain. One being, and I'm just being reminded again, AI should not take over human intelligence. AI cannot take over human intelligence. Basically, it brings out whatever you give it. It feeds on data, and that data has to come from you, right? Amongst many other things, the education system has to change, and even our own personal human thinking. To be able to scale professionally, you have to be adaptable. You have to continuously learn. You have to be hungry to know.
Please, you
So
need to
many,
emphasize that hunger.
you have to have hunger. All right. So Lamo, before we go, just any final words, a final advice that you would give to someone who is just coming into professional career field, who is just leaving school and becoming a career professional officially, what would be your advice be in scaling up as gradually as possible in
Okay.
this part of it?
Okay. I think for me to be that you should make sure you solidify the basics. Okay. Understand the basics. Understand the basics of whichever field or area that you're going to. No one likes a phony. That's the truth. Nobody likes a phony. All right. So you don't want a case where you really can't do what you say you can do, or you don't know what you say you know. All right. So take time, and learning is very, very the was decentralized today. Now you can learn any and everywhere. All you need is internet, really. You might not even need to pay subscriptions for anything. Okay. Follow the right people. Okay. Look for newsletters, look for forums, emails, newsletters that will keep you up to date. Then solidify the basics of your own, whether you're in marketing, whether you're in finance, whether you're in tech, know that, or you're in cybersecurity, understand it. Okay, understand the basics, understand the foundations. Okay, don't be quick to display before you understand. All right. Don't strive to be a teacher before you start to know what you want to teach. Okay. Solidify the foundation. Make sure you are well grounded. I think that was what I was looking for. Make sure you are very, very well grounded in what you say you know. All right. And then leverage how AI can help you accelerate it. Leverage how AI can help you accelerate the things that you know. And then it's now easier for you to start to put yourself out there. So people start to see what you can do. Then you need to do a lot of volunteering, do a lot of cold calls if you have to. Okay. And then test out what you know. All right. And then gradually, well, just wait for the opportunity, because that opportunity will come. Somebody would need somebody that needs that expertise that you have been gradually developing. And once you've taken time out, it's just a case of you now walking into that particular role and then just having to manifest it.
Love it. Love it so much. Before we go, just to ask if anyone has any question, kindly put them in the chat. Give like 1 minute for that to happen. And if there are no questions, all right. So thank you so much, Lamo. Thank you everyone for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. It was such an insightful session. I hope people go back to read this, because it's a video that is packed with so much insight. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. We hope you have a lovely evening. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.